Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we are looking at the Zoroark Garbodor archetype. It's one that I have a decent amount of experience with. I took it to a regional championships and I also came second at a League Cup with it just a couple of weekends ago. So it's a deck that I'm very aware of and it's definitely a fun one to play. Kind of a very difficult deck to play as well because you'll notice already just looking at the strengths and weaknesses to the right here that the deck is an ability lock deck, but it's also weak to ability lock. So you're trying to do a delicate balance where you're trying to draw as many cards as possible whilst also locking the opponent out of abilities whenever you can. So it really is a delicate balancing act with this deck because, of course, you're an ability-focused deck at the same time as you using Garbodor. So that's why you're seeing the Bursting Balloons down there. And there's plenty of intricacies you can have. Well, you have to sort of juggle when you're playing this archetype, but I think it's potentially powerful. One of the cards that's actually really impressed me has been Bursting Balloon in general, not just like being attached to Garbodors, but just the math fixing element of it is pretty impressive right now. So I do think the archetype has some legs, but it is a difficult archetype to play, and there are better ones out there if you just want to go autopilot, trade, win the game. So maybe the fact that this is just a Zoroark deck is what's making my results good, and the Garbodor balloon stuff is all just wacky and, not really necessary, but regardless, it's a fun one to play, and can be pretty powerful as well. So let's jump into the deck and the card decisions. 4 Zoruas, of course, moving into our 4 Zoroark-GX, the main attacker. As we know, trade is the selling point of this card. Once during a turn, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Excellent for hand advantage, getting us into some important cards in the deck, trying to get that combo on turn 2 so we can ability lock our opponent. Also, we're going to look to find DCE so we can use his Riotous Beating attack, which does 20 times each of your Pokemon in play. So maxing out at 120, decent for 2-hit KOing everything. That's the intention of the deck. He has the decent 210 HP, good for bouncing Acerola Ring. That's what we're going to be going for. Weakness to fighting is an issue. We do have Garbodor as a Treasure Launcher to attack with, as well as Mewtwo to try and make that better. Resistance to Psychic is fine, and retreat cost isn't too big of a deal because you can just pay the DCE that you attacked with if you need to move him out of the way. So Zoroark, really incredible card, and is the main focus of this deck as well. From there, we are playing a 3-2-1 line of Garbodor, 3 Acid Spray Trubbish because we are playing Psychic Energies. 2 of the Garbotoxin Garbodor. Abilities are rife. I just said how insane Zoroark is. Well, wouldn't it be great if you can turn off your opponent's ones? And that's pretty much the intention of this build, trying to have a decent mirror match against opponents by turning off the opponent's trades and having them for yourself to gain maximum hand advantage. You can be the one Acerola looping, you can be the one Guzmaing their Zoruas and all that good stuff, while the opponent struggles because they don't have insane hand sizes. They're back to being just a normal deck, really, a fair deck. So we're evening the scales by having Garbotoxin on our side of the field. Also, Garbotoxin, fantastic for a bunch of other abilities out there right now. There's Bulu, there's Metagross, there's Greninja, there's all sorts going on. There's Lycanroc, Octilleries, Gardevoir's still around, everything that you can think of. Pretty much almost every deck in the format has abilities, so Toxin is really strong right now. It's just kind of been pushed out by the fact that everyone would prefer to draw cards themselves with Zoroark. And this deck is saying, you know what, why not both? And that's really the intention here. So you can see that with the Bursting Balloons, you attach it, so you lock your opponent for the turn, and then Bursting Balloon removes itself, so you get your own trades back. That's the main combo of this deck. Then we have 1 Treasure Launch Garb. He is obviously great for the psychic coverage that he provides, so he can one-hit KO Buzzwoles, but also, just in general, Treasure Launch gets big, like against a lot of stuff still. So he can be a great way to finish off the game, or at the very least, skew the prize trade to the 7-prize game. So Treasure Launch, really powerful in the late game situations. Acid Spray is still an option for you because you are, of course, playing DCEs. And if the Buzzwole player, for example, isn't choosing to play many items because they're concerned about a Garbodor, you can just still go DCE Choice Band Acid Spray for 1 hits. So yeah, we get around them anyway. Garbodor, very powerful stage 1 non-GX Pokemon that we're utilizing here. Continuing with the Psychic support, we do have the Mewtwo as well for Buzzwole. Obviously, there's the debate between Mew EX and Mewtwo. Not so much of a debate in this deck because you're Garbodor locking, so the Mew EX is pretty bad. So we're using the Mewtwo here to Psychic our way through big Buzzwoles. And it's also helpful against like Kiawe shenanigans and a bunch of different stuff. So Psychic's just a pretty good attack. You actually do have the option to use Barrier. I never have, but you have the option, so bear that in mind. 3 Tapu Leles, Wonder Tag. Obviously getting us into Brigettes in the early game is huge, so we can set up our board. And Energy Drive is still a decent attack. Again, if you're worried about the fighting stuff, you can just send the Lele into the active and start smacking with Energy Drive for that cheeky DCE cost. And let's not forget that this is actually our GX attack in the deck as well. Tapu Lele GX healing all damage from 2 of your benched Pokemon. I've actually used this a decent chunk of times. I've used it mainly actually in tournament play against Greninja. But you can also play this in Zoroark mirror matches because, again, people actually whiff stuff when they're being ability locked. So you can have like 1 or 2 damaged Zoroarks on your board. You can just send in the Lele, Tapu Cure, and it can really set them back resource-wise and force them to maybe play too many items for Trash Launch. All these sorts of things come into play. So Tapu Cure, definitely a nice GX attack to be aware of. You don't use it a lot, but it's something you should have in the back of your mind a lot of the times, so do bear that in mind. Onto the items, we're actually not playing puzzles. One of the big selling points of playing Zoro decks is you can benefit from Puzzle of Time, but it's just 1 space too many for my list right now. So instead, we've got the sort of pseudo replacements of playing 1 Special Charge, 1 Pal Pad, and 1 Rescue Stretcher. Gets back pretty much the things you'd be getting back with puzzles, but it's going to the deck rather than the hand, which is obviously a lot worse, but you have to bear in mind that there are some games where you can't develop Bursting Balloon onto Garbodor. You have to settle for something like a Floatstone or a Choice Band, and in those situations, you're not drawing a lot of cards, puzzles become dead. Whereas Special Charge, Stretcher, and Pal Pad, they're all, they're not a combo card, you can just play them instantly. And they're still going to get you cycling the most important cards in your deck. So they all serve a nice role here, preferring them to puzzles just in this specific case, because we don't draw as many cards as perhaps some other Zoroark variants because of the nature of this build. We're going to play 2 Evosoda, going to be really nice for getting as many Zoroarks on the board as possible, and also, hopefully, if it's important enough, get the Garbotoxin down on turn 2. If you go first against other Zoroark decks and you can ability lock turn 2, it's actually just disgusting. So 2 Evosoda help us get there, which is nice. 2 Field Blower, of course, you can use it on your own tools to get rid of Garbotoxin if they don't have a Bursting Balloon on them. But also, this is going to be really nice for contesting Stadium War. We don't play any of our own stadiums, and one of the big issues of this archetype is Parallel City is a real pain because you want to have multiple Zoroarks, and you also want to have Garbotoxin because the main deck that's playing Parallel right now is Zoropod, so having Field Blower for Parallels is a big deal. I like 2 copies. You could even go up to 3 if you really want to. But again, it's finding that space that's a bit of an issue. But yeah, getting rid of tools, also increasing Trash Launch as well, so keep that in mind. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Naturally, we're looking for Lele's in the early game, then we're looking for our stage 1s after that. Pretty simple stuff. On to the supporters. We are playing 1 copy of Mallow, which I absolutely love in this deck. It just makes so many things run a lot smoother because we are so heavily focused on just playing 4 DCE, as almost every attack in the game in this deck, other than Trash Launch, which is like a late game thing. Mallow means that we can just no stress, turn 1 Brigette, turn 2 Mallow, trade into what we need, and it's just absolutely gorgeous that we can get the DCE and probably more Zoroarks most of the time is what we look for with Mallow. So yeah, really good one of. It's something that I wish I played at the regional. I did play it at the League Cup, and it was just amazing. So this is a really fantastic one of in the deck. It just makes combos happen, which is exactly what we look for in a deck like this. Then we're playing 2 copies of Acerola for our good old bouncing our Zoro and reattaching DCE and Riotous Beating all over again. Resetting the opponent turns is going to be really nice for you to gain advantage on them. 3 copies of N as well as Cynthia. I like having a fairly high Cynthia count alongside N rather than like a 4-2 split because, again, we want to be drawing cards. There are times we lock ourselves out, so you want to have Cynthia for some good draw power. And N plus Garbotoxin is still one of the most powerful combos in the game, just no matter what you're up against, because you just limit everyone's outs to drawing cards, be it them playing Octillery, Rangaroo, Zoroark, or even just like stopping Ultra Ball Lele for supporter outs for game. This combination is still absolutely dirty, so having a fairly high N count as well is going to help with this late game combo. And then the 4 copies of Brigette. You know me, I love playing high Brigette counts so that we can get our dudes going. And these are one of the freest things to trade away once you've done your Brigette. So that's also really nice to bear in mind because looking at this list, it's actually very tight. And there's very few things that you can painlessly trade away. There are a lot of things you need to keep track of. Your energy counts, how many, like, can you ever trade away a Psychic? Can you get away with it? Can you trade away a Garbotoxin? Always have to keep an eye on your Stretcher. Stuff like that is always something you keep an eye on. But whenever you trade into a Brigette, you can have a sigh of relief and say, you know what, this is always getting traded away. So that's really cool for you. So I like maximizing this count because it improves your early game. And when you're trading, it's just straight into the bin, which is awesome for you. 4 copies of Guzma. I still rate this as like one of the most important cards in almost every deck. And even with Pal Pad, I'm still choosing to play 4 copies because it lets us be aggressive. And that's something that I always like to be. So Guzma is very good for that. Picking off the most important targets in the early game is still something that Zoroark is fantastic at doing. Better than almost any other deck. So it's great for punishing stage 2s. If you go first, can get the first Riotous beating off. You can deal with their Remoraid or deal with a Ralts that's got an energy on it. Stuff like that. You can just target them down really quickly. 4 copies of Guzma, even with Pal Pad, I think is important for this deck. From there, we have the tools, 8 of them in total. 4 of them going to be Bursting Balloons. Fantastic on your Garbodor, of course, because it enables you to have abilities back. And also it means that if Zoroark players, in particular, are going to Guzma up your Garbodor to take the KO, it means they take 60. And that puts them down to 150 hit points, which means you can Riotous beating them with a Choice Band and take a KO. So really, a Bursting Balloon Garbodor is a win-win for you, unless they have exactly Field Blower, and then it doesn't matter. But yeah, Bursting Balloon, really, really strong. It's good against a bunch of other stuff and math fixing. You end up putting balloons all over your board at times in really weird spots to defend things from being Guzma'd, or at least punishing the opponent for Guzmaing an important target on your bench. Or you can just have it on the active, force them to have a Guzma, which means they're not playing an N against you, for example. So Bursting Balloon, really, really versatile card. There are some decks that are straight up not playing Field Blowers right now. A lot of Buzzwole variants play 1 or 0. Kiawe decks play 1 or 0. So you can really catch people off guard. And when they can't draw cards of trade, even if they play 2 copies, Zoroark decks can sometimes miss it. So Bursting Balloon, fantastic card. Choice Band, as I just mentioned, lets you do the math fixing with the Bursting Balloon popping on them. And it means that your Mewtwo can deal with Buzzwoles much more effectively, as well as just increasing damage counts in general. It's a pretty good 2 of. 2 Float Stones as well. This is like, once you've depleted your Bursting Balloons, when it comes to late game, you slap the Float Stone onto your Garb. So bear that in mind. It can also just move stuff around, which is, you know, what Float Stone's all about, really. Pretty good 2 of once again. And for energy, we are playing 6 total, very slim. We are relying a little bit on that Mallow to help dig out that first DCE if we really need to. But yeah, DCE runs off everything, and we have the Special Charge to try and recycle those. And we have the 2 Psychic Energies, hopefully is enough to get 1 big Trash Launch off, maybe 2 if it's an important enough matchup, and gives you the option to Tapu Cure as well. So the Psychic Energies are rarely ever traded away. Sometimes you have to really analyze whether you can get away with just 1 Trash Launch throughout the game, stuff like that. You have to weigh it up as you go, but oftentimes you want to hold on to those Psychic Energies. So that is pretty much the deck. The only thing I would consider right now, really, is Puzzle or not. I said that we don't draw quite as many cards as Zoroark decks, but in some matchups, you want to be the role player of drawing cards. There's things like Gliscopod Garbodor, there's things like Buzzwole Garbodor. Obviously, in those situations, you're not going to set up your own Garbotoxin, you're the ability-focused deck. So in those spots, things like Puzzle of Time can make your decisions a little bit easier. Right now, the Stretcher Pad Charge combo, it gives you some defense against like awkward trades and stuff like that, but I think in particular things like your Pokemon, things like your tools, and things like the Psychic Energies, these become really awkward trades that sometimes you just have to do, and if you play Puzzles, it alleviates that a little bit, so do bear that in mind. Puzzle could still be a good card for this deck. It's just, I found myself playing other things instead. Like, I found myself just happier with like the 4th Brigette, for example. That would be the space that I would have to give up, and I just don't like doing that. So that's pretty plain and simple for me. Let's jump into the ladder. Have been streaking with the deck a little bit, and yeah, I think it's good and fun. So hopefully we get some good games. And yeah, Zoroark's pretty broken, so we should do okay at the very least. Psychic, Dark, Colorless, and Water. What on earth are they playing? Nothing rings a bell. I see Froakie Sleeves, but they're playing, like, surely all sorts of stuff. We'll just have to wait and see, really. We win the coin flip, which is always great for the stage 1 stuff. Oh, that's just not great, is it? Okay, this is where 4 Brigette saves us, and we top deck out of this, and we have a delicious hand for turn 2. If we top deck Ultra Ball Brigette, so many outs, so many outs. Okay. If they are playing Espeon, do we realistically want to put a Bursting Balloon on us? Bursting Balloon means we can 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 next turn. 9 plus 6 is 15. That doesn't help us at all, so we'll just hold everything. Of course, if it is an Espeon, they could just confuse us anyway, and then we may not even want to Energy Drive. Okay, so they're playing like a split Eevee thing. They got this split Eevee thing going on. That's really not going to be good for us, because we're a Zoroark deck. But playing 4 Guzma's pretty good. See, there's one now. I guess we try and be aggressive against this guy. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 10, 1, 6. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense in my head. So we'll go for it. E-Hammer, sadness. And the Field Blower, okay. And a Brigette. So they top deck the Brigette, it looks like. Otherwise they play it every time. Turn 1. Well, looks like we could be very dead here, folks. Let us pray. They're going to evolve up into another Glaceon. Maybe they still have something like a Cynthia that they can find themselves a Float Stone. We'll see here. Acerola, okay, that's still a decent turn for them. We're alive, but it doesn't mean much. Especially because Glaceon hurts so many out of our outs. Yeah, we lost. Okay. Game 1 brick. Really sad for this deck when you're playing Lele's, Ultra Balls, Brigette's in almost maximum counts. And playing 6 draw supporters of Cynthia and N. We had way too many outs to dead draw like that. Sad times. Let's find another game. The streak ends with that. Feels sad. Slightly better hand. Still no supporter in it. Because we're going second, I'm going to promote Trubbish because it looks like our entire draw is based off this one Zorua. And we already have the float anyway, so if we want to be aggressive, we can still float out of there. Looks like we're up against Frog Boys. Bursting Balloon is actually insane against Frog Boys because we do 120 and we Bursting Balloon the active, so they have to hit into Bursting Balloon as well because Greninja doesn't play Guzma most of the time. And that is the 180 that we look for, so Tool on Garbodor plus Bursting Balloon on the active is a combination that we really do love, so that's pretty good for us. From the Mulligan, we got an Ultra Ball as well, that's also great. They're going to attach to a Feeny turn 1, and Cynthia, they need to attach turn 1 to this guy if they want to retreat and dupes, of course, if they can find themselves a Froakie. No Froakie. Pretty grim for them. We find another Zorua. Do I even need to Ultra Ball here? If I was to Ultra Ball, it would be these 2 targets that go. But what do I even grab? I don't really want to. Do I want to just go Brigette and get 2 more Pokemon? Or do I just hold this for next turn? We can go evolve, Cynthia. Like Floatstone active, Cynthia. That feels better to me. Let's hold everything. It also gives the illusion of a worse hand, which is cool. I potentially could have attached a Choice Band to bait a Field Blower, but I doubt they'd take that bait, and at the same time... Wow, why would you end when I did nothing? Why would you end when I did nothing? That's insane. They have Wonder Tag, they would always pick Cynthia there. I did nothing. Oh man, that's sad. Okay. We have a much worse hand now. Oh, God's sake. People don't make sense. Trash Launch plus Toxin is also like an absolutely insane combo that we have access to. Acerola and Guzma, both really important cards in this deck. We're going to Ultra Ball. Even Tapu Cure is good in this matchup. I don't see any nice discard here. I'm just going to get rid of the Ultra Ball. So sad. Our hand was absolutely nuts. So we've prized our other Psychic Energy, so we really have to hold on to this one. We have 3 balloons, double float. We're just going to be Cynthia-ing this hand. We've prized... No, we haven't, because it's in our hand. We've prized a Zoroark. And a Soda. And a Brigette. Okay. Looking fine. We're not going to end their hand. So realistically, they could actually Hydro Shot if I evolve into Garbodor. So do I even do that? Do I even evolve into Garb? I think I still do. We have our other one in deck. Okay. And Hydro Shot isn't dupes, so... Let's Soda. We need to get some pretty godly draws here. Do I Ultra Ball a Zoroark first? Because... No, I don't. No, okay. I don't think we're going to have time to Mallow next turn. Or are we? Okay, I need to think this through. Next turn we can Mallow, find Floatstone DC if I miss everything this turn. So I think we just sack the Lele instead of the Mallow. We've already got 80 on board, which is enough for a Froggo. Ultra Balling now, just for an extra trade. I mean, it's so unlikely that from our trade we hit Floatstone DCE. And this is just a really nice hand against frogs right now. We'll pass. Even if he does Hydro Shot the active, I don't think that's too bad for us, because we won't need abilities for another few turns regardless. And I imagine it's more likely that they're just going to dupes, right? There's the Frogadier at least. Now they play a Cynthia. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Why did they not? Oh my god. We benched a Zorua and passed, and they end it away when our hand was bonkers. Whatever. Oh wow, they're actually going for it. They're that scared of Garbodor? I can't imagine they're hitting anything else here. Anything else that they hit seems really dumb. To me, at least. Like, we're a Zoro deck, so we must be playing Acerola, so he has to be hitting the active here, right? He has to. Yeah, okay. Quickly gonna Brooklet Hill just to check stuff. Okay. So I'm gonna Ultra Ball out a Zoroark first. The thing about Mallowing here is that we'll be trading away too many good cards. So I'm actually going to Ultra Ball away the Mallow in this instance. Play a Cynthia and draw 10 cards instead. Because none of these, like if we were to do a Mallow play, none of the trades are painless. We'll have way more good things to trade away. Like stuff in this hand, for example. I can stretch back the Trubbish. We'll see what we get. Not drawing DC of 10 cards is going to feel so bad when we chose not to Mallow. It's going to feel pretty silly. Not like this game. Only the 10 card whiff. We have all 4 as well. We checked just to make ourselves feel better. An early Pal Pad. How bad does it sound? It sounds pretty bad right now. I don't know what I want yet, so let's just pass. Now is a dupe's turn for them, surely. We know that they've prized... Oh, wow. So they're not going to dupes at all this game. It looks like they're just going the old-fashioned. That's pretty crazy. They may be doing this because of, like, weird prizes. That's the biggest thing I'm thinking right now. It's going to be a shadow stitching, no doubt. So I'm going to Bursting Balloon active, because even if we miss energy, it's still kind of fine. Choice Banding Trubbish is probably better than Float Stoning Trubbish in this matchup, because I'm making the read that they don't play Guzma. And by read, I mean, like, they shouldn't be playing Guzma, or the average list doesn't play Guzma, I should say. I'm not going to Pal Pad now, because we want to hit energy. And we want to hit Garb. And 2 supporters are not those cards, so missing both of those is severely feels bad, man. This is just absolutely insane. Okay. We chose not to Mallow, and it makes me feel bad now. But having seen no DCs yet is just so unlikely. And also right now we're having to deal with only 2 Froggos. They're probably going to Brooklet Hill out a Froakie here. But still, their army is not much of an army right now, so we might still be fine here. We have been an absolute champ of whiffing stuff though. Bear in mind, the last time we did nothing from our hand, they did N us, so let's see if they do it again. So upset. Wow, they actually do play Guzma as well. You know what? You know what? That's genius. It's absolutely genius. Does he not Shadow Stitch here then? Does he break Shadow Stitch Lock just to KO a Trubbish? Or is he trying to trap us? Wow, he's trying to trap. That's so risky. It does mean that if he gets Field Blower, he can Shuriken it down later on in the game, which is good for him. But it is so risky. We know we can Space Beacon back if we just Guzma, so he can just Space Beacon and do stuff, but it means that he's attacking into a Mewtwo, which sucks for him. Yeah, okay. So, doesn't really matter what we pull up. So he's always retreating it. I'm not going to put the Floatstone down because it gives him blower value. Our hand is dead, so we want to play Pal Pad. We're probably going to be behind in this game, so we're going to grab the ends. I think we're just going to grab both ends. We definitely want to have Guzmas, though, because maybe, like, trash-launching some of this stuff later down the line can win us the game. But I think we just have to think about the here and now if we're going to survive this. Let's hand it over to them. This has been such an absurd and weird game that I don't know what's going on here. There's their retreat card. They probably just retreat lock. Or they don't, and they give us cards, but get us out of, my god, what is this hand? Actually just unreal. Still haven't seen a DC all game. Hey! I guess we should start pressuring. Because he can't double break attack us next turn. Let's also develop another Trubbish because that sounds excellent. Let's hit him with the frog. Good news is 3 ends have already been played, so he probably won't be able to end us down to a low hand size later on in the game, which is a big deal. Because that can be a factor. They're finally going to get another Frogadier out. I can't imagine what the hand is clogged with, because it's not evolutions. Might just be a herd of energy, but with no breaks. Well, there's an energy. Oh, they're gonna storm us. But Storm gives us trade back, and gives us Lele. Super weird. This is just all sorts of weird. This has just been an absolute clown fiesta of a game. Trying to protect his only Greninja. Nice. So we can Lele first, but it doesn't sound right. We should draw cards first. Yeah. Yeah, so in the case of no DC, it means that we can wander tag and find ourselves a supporter. And we're obviously not going to end them because they did nothing. Oh god, we might end them. Okay, right. Good lord. When I said we're obviously not going to. Are we going to? How good is 120 on the active? That's really what we have to analyze here. The hand was so bad. They're making such weird decisions. What's our alternative play? Just Acerola this? But then our hand becomes dead again if he Stitching locks us. We need to end. It's actually sad. Okay. We're going to evolve up this Garbodor. You know what? We could do it the other way around. But it means we have less tools to play with. I was thinking, if we evolve this one and attach the Choice Band to this one with the Toxin, it means he can't just blower and KO it in one. He's played so few items so far. Stretcher and Garb has gone, though, so that's our only Toxin, so we should just play it all. And hope to hit DCE. Magical. Pretty sure that's fine. And let's smack him. What a weird old game this has turned into. He's actually getting there as well. He's actually building the frogs from the ground up. We've given him so much time with missed DCEs. Ultra Balling. Looks like they're doing stuff pre-Sycamore by the looks of their discards. We still have lots of balloons to go as well. We need to start finding those. They're just gonna come on in, evolve one of these guys on the bench, and they're gonna Lily their hand up. Insane. Still playing Lily when you have Cynthia in the format is an interesting choice. I guess it means on turn one you can hold your like Frogadier hand and still Lily up, but if you're drawing cards you can still draw into your other Frogadiers, so it's still risky. Yeah, Lily doesn't make much sense on reflection. Because it's so rare that you'll be drawing more cards via Lily than just Cynthia-ing. So we're going to pick up our dude. Bring in the other dude, bench this dude, attach to this dude, and smack him again. We are pretty much at the mercy of him hitting Field Blower. But with two of his Greninjas heavily damaged now, we're in decent shape. Their Shuriken might even have to be focused on this Garbodor as well, so... 8. Oh, they actually play Max Potion. That could be a big swing. So they just played their 9th item. And they didn't go for a break, so maybe there's a break in their hand. You'd think that they'd almost always go for a break in the active here. Unless prizes, again, are weird. I'm under the impression that prizes are super weird. Because he's not, yeah, he didn't even do any shurikens that turn when he blowered. He blowered to get abilities back and then didn't use any abilities. Really weird. Do I still want to hit this? I want to reestablish a tool, of course. But giving him more cards sounds pretty bad. Guzma this. Kill it. He still has 2 that can be brought up. I'm definitely attaching. I think it's more important for us to hit a tool than it is for us to deal with the break. Because we're also recycling our own hand. There's a tool. There's 2 tools. 2 very, very good tools. Do I commit them both is the next question. If we just balloon bench, he can like blower and shuriken spam. Shuriken once here, once there. If we put like... Okay, so either way, if he hit blower, we're in a bad spot. It's just whether we hope that he doesn't hit blower, basically. He's played a lot of supporters already, but only 1 blower. I'm thinking it's still too likely that he could have a blower. It's like a 25%, a little bit higher than 25 because he's getting a top deck as well, that he actually has his other tool here, but he could also have draw supporters into it. I'm actually just going to go for it. The greed line. We still have a lot of tools left, remember. We still have our other float and 2 more balloons. So let's go for the greed play and hope that there's no blower here. Because I feel like he can't play any Sycamores because he'll just deck out after 1 Rod and 1 Stretch is gone. Oh, he had blower. Okay, that's fine. Because I still have the read that he doesn't have many breaks to play with. I think here he Shuriken's Garb. Because that's his last blower. Yeah. Okay. So he's manually killed 2 Garbodors in this matchup. That's so rare for a Greninja, it's insane. He can Space Beacon now. Got rid of a Frogadier of all things. Getting some waters back. And they still have to Stitch, right? Yeah. We have our own Field Blower. Is that helpful? How many more choice bands they're going to have? It's probably the last choice band. We've only seen 1 Brooklet Hill, but we don't really care about Brooklet Hill anymore. This can thin the Trubbish that's in our deck and the other thing. I'm not worried about him taking a single prize because he's at 4. So let's just thin this card, gets us closer to Psych Energy, which is going to be a big swing for us. And Bursting Balloon is going to be also a pretty big card. We're going to pay Retreat, force him to have double Shurikens. I could even attack with a Lele this turn if I really wanted to. Again, making the read that no breaks are coming down. It's kind of too risky. I don't like it. Kinda. Let's stick with the big guns. They still have 1 N. We need to play around it. I think I'm playing this card just because it's probably their last tool, and like I said, we don't care about Brooklet Hill. Not going to play Special Charge because we already have a DC in hand, and we have better stuff to draw into. Not going to commit the DC either because it's not really a safe place anywhere. Let's take our first prize of the game. Man, that's taken way too long. In comes a fresh Froggo. Let's see if he uses like his last Rescue Stretcher on the break. Oh boy, Espeon. He could have a pretty insane turn here. If he can... Oh, okay. Well, that's not an insane turn. Let's evolve out. He's setting you up for future, it looks like. What a bizarre game. Comes an Ultra Ball. Yeah, no breaks. No breaks. Space Beacon. Water for 2 waters is a good trade. I've already attached to this guy. Oh no, they haven't. Was that already last turn? Oh wow, that's insane. Okay. I mean, Guzma hitting this means we just hit it again. That's dead. But we still need to get to even prizes anyway. So it just makes sense that we just hit this. Next turn we can draw cards and try and hit our Psych Energy. I think we also have a Psych Energy prized, right? Okay, whiff. Powering up that Feeny once again and going for the devolve play. Let's get a trade in while we can. So we always deal with Feeny here. We want to play as many cards as possible. He only has one Shuriken, so again, we're not scared if he deals with Zorua. Benching Trubbish is also fine because we have our other Guzma. DC is not helpful. We can maybe bait. Attaching this to a Lele is actually fine anyway, because it makes stitching more awkward for him. So we'll just play as much stuff as possible, take ourselves down to 2. And they probably go for like a Shuriken Devolve play, because they're pretty certain that they got a break off prizes. It would have to be the last 2 prizes to be his last 2 breaks. And even then he could have like a Stretcher prized or something. There's a Wally. Well, that can't get anything. Did he really prize 2 breaks in his bottom 2? That's actually so unlucky. They attach the Frogadier. They can do their beacon shenanigans. Space beacon. That's crazy if they've got 2 breaks in the bottom 2. It's actually so savage. And they actually go for Moonlight Slash, which means we can guarantee game by just drawing into our Psych Energy. Bottom card. And doing an unholy amount to this. The big old trash. Pretty insane that we were able to survive after missing DC for so long. Looking back at that, like the Mallow looks definitely right, but the discards were so painful. I don't know. Safe is always best, I guess. But we wanted more than 2 cards that turn as well. Like in the greediest sense, we wanted to hit like DC, Zoroark, Trubbish, and Mallow can only get us 2 cards. What a bizarre series in so many ways. Okay, let's get a final game in. I think the one turn we developed Bursting Balloon, they Guzman around it as well. That's actually insane. Oh man, I don't know what was going on that game. Absolute fiesta, I tell you. Let's get our last game in. Metal Dark Psychic. Metal Dark. Zoro Zone? Is this Zoro Zone? If it is, the ability lock is going to be pretty good. Maybe Zoro Zone. Lele start doesn't tell us much. Brigette will tell us more. Oh, Zoro Metagross. That's weirder? Let's go with weirder, shall we? So because he attached metal to his active, he could actually KO as a Zorua, and that would make me sad face. But oh well. We've prized Toxin. We've prized one Zoroark. We've prized no blowers in hand. Prized a Cynthia. Prized a Guz. All of our energy are fine. Okay. Seems like a good time to... Bursting Balloon in the active here can really put him off going for an energy drive. It could even put him off doing like a Ratis beating play. I don't mind it. Protecting Azura sounds good here. Makes him think twice about stuff, you know? And that's good for us. Mallow's prized, right? Yeah. They're going to do some evolving. That old chestnut. Getting rid of a Lele, so they're not trying to Guzma around us. Or they already have Guzma. Probably digging for energy here. You'd imagine. If not, just the usual like candy shenanigans. That's so good that he spent Field Blower that early. So good. Whoa, okay, so he got rid of a Lele and had to Ultra Ball back a Lele. It's so bad for him. Clearly suboptimal trading was going on there. Getting rid of a Beldum is really nice for us as well. This really hurts their bench that they've got two Leles on board already. Parallel is really bad for us. And he missed a KO, which is good, obviously. $40. What can KO us in his deck? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so if he goes Candy, Metagross, Attached Active, DCE, Choice Band, and we DCE this, we can actually get knocked out. So is it worth us floatstoning this? I mean, when they have trade, anything's possible, right? I shouldn't have floatstoned first. I should have traded first. My bad. Info first. It's always the way to go. Let's get rid of that pesky parallel. Guzma doesn't seem too good here. We want to draw cards instead. So let's just Cynthia. There's also an argument that just like allowing them, like if we just floatstone the Trubbish, an evolved active, attached active, there's like such a low chance that they can get everything to chaos if we ability lock, but still. So we can ability lock if we want to. I'm going to draw more cards first. That's always a good policy. We can sack a Guzma. See, if we want to ability lock, we put ourselves in a bad hand situation. We can make the read that he doesn't have space for tool removal, so we can get rid of energy removal, so we can get rid of charge. I think we just get rid of charge Lele here. And we obviously attach the Bursting Balloon to the Garb so that we can reload next turn. There's also the potential that when he can't trade and he has a 4-card hand, he could N us. So this looks pretty decent. Pretty decent. They just go ahead and Cynthia, which is cool. They're going to Ultra Ball. Maybe they have some candy shenanigans. Ah, Duskmane. Can they reliably power it up if they only have one Beldum? Let's read on. Energy Drive. Guzma is once again going to have to hit the furnace. We keep trading away Guzmas, but you have to remember that we have the luxury to because we have so many. So don't be fooled that just because we trade them away means they're not important enough to play 4 of. Don't be fooled, team. So now we're not really fearful that he could like burst us out. So like if he bursts us out with anything, it's with the Duskmane that kills everything. So we also have the option of just killing with Lele this turn, which is kind of fine. Don't hate it. We still have another trade though. Let's draw some cards first. Sacking Ultra Ball because I think our hand is too precious for any other discards. Is Lele bashing a Lele our best play here? I think it is. Bumping. And I don't see anything wrong with a little floatstone right here. And we'll take the first 2 prizes. Does open up his GX attack, of course, but I think it's kind of fine. I'm going to choice ban the bench and play an N. Choice banning the Beldum is very interesting. I guess it's actually the best target on his board, so fair play. That is correct. They hit themselves a candy as well. Gets them into mighty Metagross. Couple metals in the bin at the moment, but we do have Toxin. Did they end themselves into the nuts? It looks like it, you know. Unless they've end themselves into jank and they have to single puzzle here, they may have end themselves into the nuts. But if they have the nuts, we can still trade again. So that's fine. We don't mind that. Everyone draws into the nuts sometimes. Okay. Looks like they drew the nuts. little bit sad that we have to sack a Zorua. One of the downsides of us promoting a Lele to attack with that turn. I figured they didn't have much space to play multiple parallels, so I didn't play around it, and I wasn't playing around puzzles when we had ability lock and their hand size was like 4 cards, but live and learn. I actually traded away a metal, so they must have more metal in their hand. Getting rid of a Metagross as well, because it means they can Geotech, attach, and actually Riotous beating us this turn. There it is. And they're going to hit us for a hundo. So we have some delicious trades that we're going to cash in immediately. Mallow coming a little late to the party. We're just going to Cynthia this. Be really nice if we can open up our board again. That's really nice. We can open up our board again. And we can ability lock again. But 80 is a really bad number against a Zoroark. But he always pays retreat anyway, right? I think again with his 3-card hand, we just gotta do this. We'll be ending him to 4 next turn. And also if he takes the prizes, his own Duskmane becomes way less scary. Like right now we're 2 ahead because the Duskmane scares us. This way, we're less ahead. Maybe. To get into a supporter, they have their second blower, so they can do some stuff if they want to. They can like retreat Geotech onto like a new Zoroark, or even their own Lele. And of course they can get trades going, which is always nice. Second trade, getting rid of a float. They've only played 1 Guzma, so that seems absolutely fine. Can't really punish them. Probably. Probably can't really punish them. So 2, 4, 5, 6 metals gone so far, and they actually just choose to attack with this guy. Okay. Interesting. So we have a handful of trades. Let's kick off with this Mewtwo hitting the bin. Have to end them, of course. The Mallow is tempting, but we absolutely have to end. Keeping all these tools seems radical, but I mean, it seems good. If we're going to be ability locking again, do we want to keep this Mallow? I think we still do. Okay. Let's get back Laylol. Slap him down. Grab ourselves Nah. Really would be nice to develop another Trubbish next turn. Have to remember that Special Charge is gone as well, so we can't do frilly retreating around shenanigans as easily. Let's end ourselves both to 4. Not quite Trubbish. Is it going to be worth us cycling back Acerola? We have one more Acerola in the deck. I think we can decide our Pal Pad next turn. We don't need to decide it now. We can just beats. See how good their hand is. They have a lot of Guzmas, but I think the Bursting Balloon's like making a Guzma play look pretty bad for them. So that's cool. Yeah, they're just going to hit the active. That's pretty chill. There's the Trubbish. So you can see what he's trying to do here. He's trying to set up the GX attack to just go GX dead, attack once more dead. He's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 items. So we win the race if we go down that route, or if he tries to go down that route. So the Acerola does nothing, clearly. So it's best for us just to cycle Cynthia's, I think. Let's get rid of N. Let's trade first. Trade first, Joe. Come on. What are you up to? If we just Guzma hit, only makes sense if we can get a tool. And we're very low on those. So I want to trade pre-supporter, pre-Pal Pad, because we want to hit a tool quite badly off these 8, or off the 2 cards here. Tool Psychic is actually like gloriously good here. Yeah, we're just holding everything. It's all good. Pal Pad back into draw cards for when they N us. Does paying retreat even make sense? Not really. Just hold stuff. Just smack him. Down to 2. Lots of threats on our board. 2 nice prizes to take. Well, the Cynthia's a nice prize. The Guzma I don't think does anything. It would only do something if you could miracle out a Metagross this turn, but it would be a miracle. Puzzles. Puzzles are happening. There's the blower. There's the metal. Geotech, sure. It sets up a game quite nicely. It's just, we also have games set up for ourselves. And if he GXs this, we can 2-shot this to victory. So we're there. They're probably just going to Ultra Ball N. We'll have 2 trades. Have 3 Cynthia outs and this. We should be chilling. I don't even know if they have Lele left, so maybe they can't even N us. Yeah. Or maybe they're just doing ultimate thinnage. Ultimate thinnage. Yep. That's definitely game. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16. I'm no mathematician, but that's enough. Boom. Nice. Nice win there against, again, an interesting deck. It is a Zoroark deck, so you can never discredit it. They only got one Metagross out. They did the cool puzzle shenanigans with Field Blowers a lot, so they had that nice end turn where they got everything going, and there was a little bit of fear there for a little while. But in the end, we were able to win, so first game was a loss against Glaceon because we couldn't do anything. I still think that would be a hideous matchup for us, by the way. Like, even if we had turn 1 Brigette, they went turn 1 Glaceon. They didn't even have a bench, so we couldn't draw cards regardless, so that is something to be aware of. Glaceon is picking up in play, and it is very awkward for this deck, for sure. So maybe having to trim down the Guzma count, cry face emoji, to go up to a 4th Cynthia could make you a little bit safer against Glaceon variants if you are concerned about those. Also, things like Enhanced Hammer could be thrown in to improve your matchup there. But then we were able to beat Frogs in a very bizarre series, and we were able to beat the Zoro Metal deck as well, so you'd imagine we'd be favoured there, so not too bad that we were able to overcome them in the end. So there we go, guys. That is going to be the deck. Please leave a like to this video if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. For now, though, it has been Joe from OmniPoke, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.